I refuse to be sort of the individual who left a community like Shreveport that meant everything to who I became and not come back. I think a lot of people do that, not just at Shreveport, but in their own communities, right? They take, they explore, gain all of these experiences and never bring it back to the city that raised them. And that's something that I was always, I refuse to do.
Welcome back to another episode of the LightWork Experience. It's time to talk about the former WNBA star, Alana Beard. Straight out of Shreveport, Louisiana. She's been giving back to Shreveport, Louisiana in a lot of ways. She used to have the swimming program in the off season to help out with those who don't know how to swim. She helped put them in the water and get them back on track. Now she's retired and she's coming back in a different way. The 318 Foundation has nothing to do with basketball, more to do about life. So she called me, she was like, Rashad, hey, really want to put some 318 Foundation footage together? I said, for the love. But one of my sponsors, Williams Financial, chopped it up with Danny. He was like, hey, Sean, what about MK and Alana sitting down and doing something for the love? I said, you know what? You own this something. Aha! 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 What do you know from funny?
And so the 318 Foundation has just been sort of what I've always wanted to do, right? It's a focus on high school girls and inspiring positive college career and life outcomes through mentorship.
318 Vision, go for it.
Talking to other people through, Zoom.
Through Zoom? Yeah, okay. Go. Yeah, go.
My favorite was when we talked to that coach.
And so understanding my privilege and my platform and so also the network that I've been able to build is about bringing those individuals sort of back to the community so that these young women can have exposure to business leaders, athletes, influencers, entrepreneurs, right? And giving them sort of a platform to pursue whatever dream they have, right? And giving them that hope and understanding to know that with hard work, but also with a support system, anything is possible. And so the other thing that I always wanted to notice that basketball was everything for me, but it was only a vehicle to get me to where I eventually got. So Shreveport is my life. It means a ton. So
from beginning to end, y'all did that. So we're gonna do what?
You're here, right? You're staying in Louisiana, so I would encourage you to always figure out how to connect everything that you're doing back to the community that poured into you. You said you are leaving for LSU June 26th. You said you're excited, but I'm curious to know what kind of information have they sent you, right? Like when I was starting with Duke, they sent me this entire workout, expecting me to follow it, strictly to be ready for when I stepped on campus. How's that process been for you? What have they sent you?
They haven't really sent any workouts, but they were like, be prepared because the open runs, they have a lot of open runs in summer, not really a lot of set practices yet, just because we're still getting in the groove, gelling, so we have a lot of open runs. So I'm excited for that. I'm just here right now getting in shape for all of that, just knowing how much we're going to be playing.
So what does it mean for you to get in shape? We spoke for the first time and the only time over the phone 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
You were in a different space. Tell me how you've grown over the last 3 years and how has that growth prepared you to take on sort of the next level?
My body's already been it's always been physically mature. I've always been like that, but I think mentally my game has grown. Just focusing more on it, just becoming mentally stronger, pushing through that wall, hitting it, and then knowing the next level I'm going to push through that. If I don't, I'll be sitting. Knowing the team that I'm going with, I have to push through those walls and be able to make shots when I'm tired, be able to play defense that extra 3 seconds because I'm tired, or else I'm going to be sitting on the bench.
All right, so why did you choose LSU?
Just playing under a passionate coach. I love the way Coach Mulkey coaches and being under her wing and learning. And I think she can prepare me the best for the next level.
I would agree with that. Kim was one of my favorite individuals when I was going through that recruiting process. I suppose I was supposed to stay at Louisiana Tech, but I chose to do it a little differently. In terms of just making the best decision that I felt was for me at that time. And I would have to say, choosing to go to Duke was probably one of the best decisions of my life. I'm not gonna like call you out on it because you were supposed to be a Dookie too. I'm gonna feel some type of way about that, but I'm happy that you're staying in state. What would you say you're most concerned about in transitioning from high school to college?
I feel like my parents prepared me well for the outside of basketball. I feel like they've prepared me well for that. I'm ready to live on my own. I've always taken care of my school. That comes first, as always. Student athlete first. But just the conditioning, I'm a little worried. I know it's different from high school to college, so just got to lock in on that a little more.
I don't want to scare you, but it's horrible. And I'm happy that I never have to do another preseason workout ever in my life. When I graduated from college, I think that was the one thing that I was most excited about, right? Like just having the autonomy to work and be on my own, right? There's a discipline that comes with being a professional, and I think I was excited about that, but I can't lie. I hated preseason every single year, but I also enjoyed that process when I look back on it, right? Because preseason told me who I can trust as a leader, right? I'm gonna know that if Michaela comes in, if she gets through this sprint drill, knowing that it's going to be extremely tough, but if she gets through this sprint drill consistently throughout the year, I know that I can trust her when the season starts. I'm curious to know your thoughts around sort of NIL, right? This is new. It's a new landscape. I think what you all are having sort of access to is amazing, right? You're getting sort of a chance to have the autonomy over your brand, your business. You're understanding what that means from the very get-go. But how do you balance, having access to capital, knowing that you are now a business, and it's about how you present yourself, which will determine sort of the impact you could have sort of on the NIL landscape, but also knowing that basketball is sort of the reason why you're capable of achieving certain things in the NIL space. How are you balancing that?
Basketball always comes first to me. I feel like NIL was just a bonus. I feel like also NIL exposed the women's game a little bit more. So yeah, basketball will always come first to me. The money just happens to come as well. I think one of the main questions I have to ask is, what was the biggest or the hardest transition from high school to college?
How much time do you have? I was a homebody, right? A mommy and daddy's girl, very shy, and only cared about being the best in the game. But I was also very fortunate to have a pretty cool support system, and my mom, my dad, my family, but also having the opportunity to play for the best coach to ever coach in Shreveport and Steve McDowell. And he prepared me for everything I would face on the court, right? When you talk about preseason, I hated it, but I was prepared for it because of what he had instilled in me early on, from respecting the game, showing up professionally. Although I was in high school, it was about showing up every single day consistently, ready to work. And so I was leaps and bounds ahead of, other individuals coming in as freshmen because of my mentality. But the hardest part was leaving home. When everyone expected me to stay, I knew I had to do it a little differently, and I knew choosing Duke would prepare me for life beyond the game, and that's why I chose it. But I cried every single day. Not gonna lie. I'm not sure how you are with your family, but I cried every single day up into maybe the first semester of my junior year. My parents would figure out ways to come and see me. My dad is a truck driver to this day, and so he would take runs to North Carolina. Right. My mom would sometimes hop in the truck with them, and they would surprise me here and there, but every time that they came and left, I cried like a baby. I remember one instance where they drove in. It was a big game for us. I knew they were coming, but I also knew they had to leave after the game. I killed on the court. Running back to the locker room, I'm like breaking down in the most dramatic fashion, crying. And people thought I was hurt, right? Coach G's calling the trainer, like, Joe, Alana's hurt. I was like, no, I'm not hurt. My parents are leaving, right? And so that was like my freshman year. And I remember them going out and getting my parents and telling them to come back to the back. And they were like, all right, we got to figure this out, all right? We're not going to tell you that you have to stay, but what they taught me is that anytime you commit to something, you see your way through it. My dad was even open to like moving my mom to like North Carolina to say, hey, anything we need to do to help you get through this. And in that moment, I understood that I had a responsibility and I couldn't ask my parents to take on that burden of moving my mom.
I know hate came with the name. How did that make you feel, or how did you handle it?
It was never a distraction,
Right.
because I never listened to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was weird. I'm just gonna say that, man. Like, I was weird. Like, nothing else mattered to me and nothing distracted me because I had this vision of being the greatest. And I was adamant about not allowing anything to stop that. And it's a different world now, right? You guys get access to all of the comments, right? Like, everyone's talking about everything on social media. And so it's hard now. But I didn't necessarily listen to anything, but it's because I was very cognizant and conscious of who I allowed in that space. And then the other thing that I was also like cognizant of is that you can talk all you want, but if I'm doing the work and if I'm producing, none of that matters. Even when I was watching games, like playback, right? Like you're reviewing film to try to, improve here and there. I would watch it with the sound off. Because you have commentators, everybody's got an opinion of you, everyone's got an opinion of the team and what's going on within that team, but they don't know. That's an outside perspective. And so the way that I protected my mental was to just never listen to it, because the game was always the focus for me. And I had done that throughout my entire career. So yeah, I was a hermit, man. Social media is such a big part of your life. I hate it, by the way. But how do you handle it?
I pretty much feel like I'm the same way. I, for the most time, block it out, but it got real close this season, or last season, I guess you could say.
How did you manage it?
I stopped caring. I mean,
Cold turkey?
yeah, I stopped caring. Like, I just had to turn those emotions off. Like, why don't y'all like me? Why is it this if I'm working so hard for y'all, right? So I just turned those emotions off and just started playing basketball, drowning myself in basketball. So I'm performing on the court, so there's not really much y'all can't say.
Look at this. I'm getting chills like listening to this. Like, are you working for them or are you working for you? There's a moment to be selfish.
Yeah, you're right. I was working for myself. I'm always working for myself.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was giving so much to them. And for them to treat me how they were at the time was just a lot to take on.
And I think you handled that the right way. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about that, and I hate to hear that. And when I say that, I thought that you did it the right way and that you came in every single day and you showed up consistently, right? One thing that I was always adamant about is doing it the right way, every single time, because then what are you going to say, right? When I step in that gym, if the coach says, get on the line, ask Coach G how many times someone beat me down the court and back. No one.
Right.
Because if I was the star of the team, I had to produce consistently every single day. And then that gave me the ability to demand the same thing from my teammates, because I did it every single day the right way. And that takes a ton of mental power. It's exhausting. I think you should be solid and encouraged by what you do on a daily basis, and that'll take care of all of the noise, but don't be distracted by it. That's one thing that I respect about Russell Westbrook, right? Triple-double king, done a ton. The moment he has an off season, people are going in on him, right? But no one sees what happens in the background. And I've always respected him because he's never allowed that to get to him, despite his shooting percentage, right? Don't know what's going on, but he showed up and shows up every single day as Russell Westbrook, despite the outcome. And so if you think you're getting it at the high school level, wait till you get to college. On top of that, seeing everybody that Kim's bringing in, there's opportunity in that chaos, but it's opportunity to show up and be a leader right off the bat. And the way that you show up and be a leader right off the bat is being consistently good every single day. So let your work speak for itself. Don't call me now.